I'm actually very embarrassed to tell you guys my underage DUI story, but hopefully you guys can learn from my mistakes and avoid the same consequences. But anyways, so back in the day when I was 20 years old, I want to say, one night I was stripping at the local strip club in Odessa, Texas called Jaguars Gold Club. And that night I remember drinking, but to be honest, I don't remember how much I drank. All I remember was taking a shot of Crown like an hour before I left work. And at that time, I was basically living with my friend, which was the bartender that worked at the club. And I had a habit of telling her when I was going home, since she had to work till close. So that night, it was about 2 a.m. when I told her that I was heading out. And before I left, she actually asked me if I could take her purse with me and I could give it to her when she got off. So I got her purse, got in my car, and started driving, towards the exit of the parking lot. And mind you guys, I have a slight self-diagnosed OCD problem and also fear of getting pulled over, that I usually turn my signal lights on even in parking lots just to make sure that I'm following the rules. So I actually remember signaling to turn right once I got to the exit of the parking lot. And once the coast was clear, I went ahead and turned right to this leased road that was kind of parallel to some train tracks. And in order to get over the train tracks, back in the day, that road used to curve into this railroad stop or railroad crossing. I'm not sure what it's called, but there was a stop sign there. And at that stop sign, I usually turn left to go to what's called Highway 80 or Business 20. And so I vividly remember turning my left signal light on just because it was doing that ticking noise. And I also remember counting 1 crocodile, 2 crocodile, 3 crocodile just because it's such a habit. I also remember going the speed limit once I turned because I'm also anal about that. So in my head, I thought I was being a great driver. But about 2 minutes into the drive, I see this car behind me speeding. And I thought it was weird because, it's really early in the morning. There's not many cars out and not a lot of disturbance. But I also thought it was weird because that car's headlights were off. So instantly in my head, I thought to myself, oh no, not again. Is someone really following me right now? Like, I don't know, but the logical thing for me to do was to change lanes just to make sure that that person wasn't following my patterns or wasn't stalking me. And this went on for another minute or so until finally, surprise, surprise, there was red, white, and blues behind me, and at that moment, I knew I was gonna get busted. So I pull over and the officer asked me for my license and registration, which at that time, I think I had a temporary license from a previous minor DUI. So I gave him that, and he tells me the reason I pulled you over is because you didn't signal at the railroad crossing. Inside my head, I'm like, bullshit. So I tell him I'm 100% sure I did signal, but he still goes back to his car and checks my background. So about 10 minutes later or so, he comes back and starts asking me cop questions like, where are you coming from? Do you have anything in your car that I should know about? And have you been drinking tonight? And since I've been on my own since I was 18 years old and didn't have any legal guidance of that sort, I was stupid and I basically straight up ratted myself out. Just because I had been drinking from such a young age and was surrounded by so much alcohol daily at the strip club, I had forgotten about the zero tolerance for underage alcohol consumption. So basically my dumbass told him I had a shot, but that was hours ago. Like, I should have stayed quiet, but once I said that, he asked me if I would be willing to take a breathalyzer test. So I thought that if I said no, I'd go to jail and I'd get in trouble. So I agreed to take the breathalyzer test. And as he was explaining how to do it, inside my head, I was also thinking, like, how can I blow zero? So when it came down to the test, he told me to breathe in really deep. And when I blow out, to blow out hard. So again, I was trying to blow zero. So I breathe in really deep. And as I was blowing out, I was making the noises like if I was blowing out hard, but I was probably not blowing out any air at all. So yeah, I don't know if he noticed that or not, but he did make me retake the test. And at the end, I did end up blowing zero twice. So that was good. But as we were finishing off the breathalyzer test, another cop pulls up and they made me do the walking test. So after that, they asked me if they can search my car. And again, another stupid mistake, because we all have the right to refuse a search under the Fourth Amendment depending on the circumstances, but I let them search my car, and at this point I was panicking because I thought they were going to steal my money. They were going to find something in my friend's purse because I knew she smoked weed. I knew I didn't have anything else, but they pretty much pushed that guilt on me, that I felt guilty and I felt like they were going to find something. And so they open up her purse and they find a bottle of prescription pills. So they asked me, what's in this bottle? And I tell them, you know, I don't know what's in there. They're not mine. And at this point I was telling myself, like, girl, you're done. Like, you're going to jail. And so, you know, I was really nervous. But in the end, I guess they were legit because they weren't mentioned after that. So that was like, whew. Once they finished searching my car, they explained what was going to happen next. And thankfully what happened next wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be. So basically they just wrote me a ticket for not signaling. And they also wrote me a ticket for a minor DUI. But the cool thing was that they let me drive off with my car. So I thought that was a win. I know it's bad, but yeah. It could have been worse, I guess. But yeah, so later on, I actually set up a date to go to court to fight the ticket. But since I was young and I didn't really know how court worked, I didn't get a lawyer, and at the end I ended up pleading guilty. And after I pled guilty, they sent me to this alcohol education program that took about a couple days, I want to say. I can't remember exactly how many, but I want to say a weekend. And after the class was over, you take a test, and if you fail the test, you have to take it all over again. And thankfully I passed, so I'm very proud of myself. But yeah, that wasn't all. After I finished my program, they also sent me to do so many hours of community service at a Salvation Army in Odessa, Texas. And to be honest, I can't really remember how many hours of community service I did, but I feel like it was maybe like 40 or something. I don't know. It's been so long, but yeah, every time I went, you know, I had to write down my name and what time I got there, and when I left, I had to clock out, and you know, the employees would take care of my hours. And once I was done with my program and my community service, I had to go see the judge. Thankfully, the judge was very understanding about my situation, that he gave me the option to expunge my ticket. And I think I paid the ticket plus $300 to expunge it. So that's awesome that it's off my record, but I do have another minor DUI that still haunts me. And if you guys want to hear the story about that, which is a little more dramatic, let me know, that way I can do another story time video. But this definitely has been a huge learning experience and has taught me that one night of drinking and driving can definitely change our whole life and our future. Like, this situation could have been worse. You know, I could have hurt somebody. I could have hurt myself. Thankfully, I didn't go to jail, you know. And I want you guys to know that we're not invincible. You know, back in the day, I used to say, oh, I'm fine driving. You know, like, I'm good. You know, like, I'm the best drunk driver there is. And now that I see it, I'm like, girl, you were so stupid. Like, how could you put yourself in danger, and how can you endanger everybody else? Like, who gives you that right? Because it made me think, like, okay, if someone else killed me while they were drunk driving, I wonder what my family would think or feel. And now I wouldn't want to put another family in that position. So yeah, just those thoughts circulating my mind has made me realize that we need to think before we act. You know, it's 2020. There's Lyft, Uber, taxis. There's so many options nowadays for transportation that you don't have to get behind the wheel when you're over the limit. Like I always say, you know, be modest about your drinking. Also, have a plan before you drink, and make sure that you already have your ride planned out. Just be smart, use common sense, and be responsible, you know. Drive sober, don't drink and drive, and just be careful, you know. So yeah. Anyways, guys, that's my story. I hope you guys learned something from it. If you guys have any comments, questions, make sure to comment down below. I love you guys so much, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye, guys.